Okay, Mr. Phobes here. I'm going to go through a process of how we're going to create some cut perforations in our design, um, just to make it a little bit more interesting and also to kind of, try and invoke this idea of something organic, right? But it could also be done with, if you looked at the article on fractures, it could also work for that. You could do geometric, right? So I'm using the dodecahedron pattern just to show you how to do this, but it can be used in any of the other patterns. But one thing I'm going to do show you is how to go ahead and create a pattern that rotates around the center. And it's pretty easy, okay? So I'm going to show you how to draw these in Illustrator and then reflect them and then rotate them around the center. Um, so let me kind of clear out of a few things and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I cleared everything. So what I'm going to do first is do a real simple little drawing. And there's a way to do this in image trace. That would be another video, but you can basically take a starting pattern from an image offline. But I'm just going to show you how to use the curve tool and then also the shape tool. Okay, so I want to make a little organic shape. So I'm going to go to the curve pen tool right here. And one thing I want to do is let's make sure that because it's going to be cut, I want this to be red. Um, Oops, one thing I forgot before we get too much further is that I don't want to do it on the red cut layer because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm actually going to click on this. I'm going to go new layer, and it's going to create a layer above. And I'm going to call this decorative layer. And then I'm going to make sure that this is locked. My blue engraving lock is below it. Okay, so this is the layer I'm going to work on. Okay. I'm going to lock the guides layer just for right now. Okay, now I'm ready. So, you just kind of can play around with this, and what's kind of cool, uh, you can make these little organic shapes, and then you can mess around with the um, points. You can see these little points, and you can slide them around. You can add little points. Um, so you can play around with this and get something pretty organic. Okay, so I'm just going to go with that, right? Okay, don't worry about the scale. We're going to scale it down later. Okay, so I've got that little shape, and what I want to do is I want to add some little circles in here. So I'm going to go to the ellipse tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the shift option, and what that does is it allows me to make a circle that increases from the center point and it stays a circle. So I'm going to make something about this big. I'm going to go back to the tool here. I'm going to kind of slide this down. I don't want these too close together because you know, if they get smaller, the laser is going to, cut right through them. Okay. So while it's selected, I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to select it, hit the Option key. I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to hit the Shift key, and I'm going to scale it down a little bit. And move this. And I'm going to copy this one more time. So I'm going to hit the Option key, and I'm going to copy it. Something like that. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to make a little mirror image of that. And I think it'll fit okay in here. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to go Object Group. Okay, now they can't move independently. All right. Um, Now what I want to do is I want to go to the reflection tool, and it's behind the rotate tool. So you go to reflect tool. Okay. Now what you're going to do is it's going to come as a plus, and basically we want to create a line of symmetry here. So um, the default is it'll just go straight down. So I want to get it relatively close. I'm going to come up here, and then I'm going to hit the Option key, and it's going to bring up this dialog box. And so it's going to be 90 degrees to the base here, and then um, I, I'm going to say that, but what I want to do is then go copy. Whoops, got to select it and then go to the reflection tool, option, and then go copy. And it reflects it around that center line. Okay, so it's going to be too big to fit in here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to select everything and I'm going to go object group. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to scale the whole thing down. So I'm going to hit the shift key and I'm going to scale it down, something like that. I don't think this is going to work as good as the first one I did, but it'll still work. Okay. So one of the other things though I need to do is give myself some guidelines. So I'm going to lock this layer right now. I'm going to go to the guides layer. I'm going to unlock the guides and then I'm going to I want this, I don't want it to be red. I'm going to go to the little green thing here. So my guidelines are going to be green. What I need are some center lines. So I'm going to go to the line tool right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag to this center point, to the anchor. Okay. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to do another one like that. Now I also need a center point as a uh, line for my geometry. Okay. So right there's the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lock my guides and then I'm going to go back up to this layer, select this, and I'm going to bring it down. And what I want it to do is I want it centered right on the guideline. So right there, that tells me it's centered. It needs to be a little smaller, or let me just push it up a little. So I'm using one of the up arrows. That may be a little bit too close. So I'm going to hit the shift and then I'm going to do option because that will scale it down from the center of the geometry. I'm going to do something like that. Maybe I want it to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so it's selected. So what I'm going to do while it's selected is I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in front. So the command for that is Command C and then Command F. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to rotate this around this center point here. So I'm going to go to the rotate tool, which is now under the or on top of the reflection tool. So I'm going to go here and then the little plus sign comes up and I'm going to go right to where it says intersect. And again, I'm going to hit the option key, select on the mouse, and it brings up this dialog box. And that allows me to rotate it at the degree I want. So because this one is based on a pentagon, um, the object needs to rotate every 72 degrees. So I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm just going to copy what I've done. So I'm going to leave it selected. I'm going to go Command C for copy, Command F for command to paste in front, and then Command D, and it rotates it again. So Command C, Command F, Command D, Command C, Command D. So it's Command C, Command F, Command D. Okay, so there they are. Okay, so now what I can do is if I want to transfer it over here, and again, everything's locked except for that decorative layer, so I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to go Option, and I probably should have given myself a set of guidelines here to center it, because now I'm going to have to screw around with this thing. Um, but I can probably do it by eye, but it would have been, you can see it would have been better to have a set of guidelines, okay? So it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going for the effect here. So that looks pretty good. All right, so um, there we go. So now I've got two of them and they're going to be cut out. Looks like I do need to, sorry, I just want to move this down just a little bit. That looks good. You can see it would have benefited from the guidelines. Okay, so what I want to do now, because I want it to be on the same layer, is that I mean, I could leave them on the same layer, but probably the laser would like it better if what I did is I actually merged these two layers. So I'm going to unlock both of them, and I'm going to hit the command to select this. And I'm going to go to the little hamburger here, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go merge selected. Okay, so now it's all in one layer, and then the laser really likes that. All right, so then I'm going to go File, Save, and what I might want to do is, because this is the template, I'm going to call it dodecahedron, and then I'm going to go Dave's Deco, something like that. So make sure you rename it so you don't override the template. And then I'm going to go save. Okay. Okay. That's it. Just that simple, just that quick. See you in class.